Hello, welcome back to Total Spotfest. I'm Jamie, that's JJ, and with us we have a very awesome guest, a purveyor of violence, if you will. Righteous? You dig? Miss Vita VonStarr.
Yay!
Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
No, thank you for doing this. We do totally appreciate that for giving us some of your time here and getting to talk with us. Those of you, of course, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. If you want to join the conversation, hit a comment down below if you're on YouTube, or hit us up on Twitter at Total Spotfest. But Vita, no, thank you for doing this. We do appreciate it. So how are you doing this wonderful day?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Not too shabby. I mean, I got all my kids home for just a couple more days in school, and it's going to be awesome.
Jamie lives in somewhat of a circus at his house. He's, one man married with 4 daughters, and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God has a sense of humor.
but
Definitely.
we're making them all wrestling fans, even though one of them has an ongoing feud with me, and I'll tell you about that later. It's a little PTSD. So
Yeah. She kind of owns him, and she's 16. It's a beautiful thing, but she's been owning him since she's been 13. So,
Well, that's how it goes, man.
for Christmas, okay, I gotta tell you. So for Christmas, Jamie and I, we've been buds for a long time. We exchange gifts and everything, and we opened them up on the podcast here for our Christmas episode. And I had a secondary gift, and it was a framed picture, because we do the like pay-per-view picks for like all the big wrestling pay-per-views, right? And that's what I was saying. She just demolished me for years. So it's a picture of her with all of our toy belts we use for the championship, and it says, "From your favorite champion," and she signed it. I go, that's
Cute.
yeah. I got it over there.
It was well worth it.
So anyway,
so enough about my kids. We're here to talk to Vita about Vita. So I thought you said Circus. I feel like that is an excellent spot to start. So Vita, you've came through the ranks of going through the circus in the Philadelphia area. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Can you talk about how you got into that, and how it's helped you maybe in your wrestling career? Just talk about the circus in general.
Yeah, so I was a gymnast as a kid, so I always loved flipping around and being upside down. And then I just started taking classes recreationally in Philadelphia, because we have a circus school here. And it was super natural for me to be climbing ropes and hanging upside down on things. So I just started performing professionally at a pretty short amount of time. And I was able to make a decent living off of that. I mean, I was always a performer. I have a background in acting, too. I trained in New York City as an actor, did the whole hustle there, going to auditions and stuff all the time. So I've always been an artist. I've always been a performing artist. But I've also always been an athlete. So circus was perfect for me, and it's kind of how I feel about wrestling as well, where it's a performing art, but it's also an athletic discipline that requires a massive amount of work. So coming from the circus and gymnastics, it's tons of conditioning, tons of core control. And obviously those are important factors for being a good pro wrestler. So it was kind of a combination of everything I've ever done and trained for my whole life.
good culmination there. I know that from watching you, what we have a little bit, well, because you've only been in wrestling for I think 4 years, right?
I've been performing in shows for about 4 years, but I've been training almost 7.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So what we've seen has been about 4 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's very interesting, because it's you don't hear of that path necessarily too often. I thought it's very intriguing. I do want to say I especially love when you do your promos and incorporate some of your aerobic or the acrobatic stuff and everything. Like, I think you did a promo recently spinning in one of those like hoop swing things.
Yeah, I did. That was just this week, actually. Evie De La Rosa, I'm wrestling her tomorrow. She kind of called me out on the circus stuff. People like to tell me to go back to the circus when they're like talking shit on me, but it's like, no, I'm having fun here, you know?
Right. Well, they
it's
got.
not insulting.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a lot of it plays into character wise. I imagine, but a lot of like kind of the old school mentality. The old like 20s and 30s roaming Barnum and Bailey's, and it's like that's not what the circus is anymore.
It's changed a lot in 100 years. Yeah,
well,
for
cool.
sure.
A little bit, just a little bit. Hopefully, less clowns.
Yeah, clowns are different. Contemporary clowns are different.
See,
Still
Jamie?
creepy, but yeah.
Jamie's deathly afraid of clowns.
Yeah,
Understandable.
I'm coolerphobic. Yeah, so yeah, it's bad. Like I've punched one in the face when I was 13 years old because he wouldn't leave me alone. So like it's one of those things. Like yeah. I even told him like I froze and couldn't move. But no. So that's good. Less clowns. Different clowns is a beautiful thing. So. So you said that you've done the acting thing. So let's kind of dig into that a little bit now. All right. So you're into performing arts, and you've done the hustle and bustle of New York doing acting and everything. So let's dig into that. So like you talk about the athlete piece too, like what motivates you on the acting side? Like what are some of those performing arts pieces that like get you going on the acting side to bring out that piece of you, like when you're doing your promos and things like that?
At the end of the day, I'm an artist. Everything I do, everything is art, really. People don't always think of pro wrestling as an art, but I do. And I just really get excited about creativity, and collaboration. Like I'm working with CCW right now in Delaware. I'm their network title champion, and we're doing some kind of longer angles there, which is cool to me because you don't always get to do that on indie promotions. And so collaborating with the promoter there and the people that I work with there has been exciting for me. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like wrestling, it's acting, but it's also real life, and it's also a circus. Like we were saying before about the combination of everything. But really, at the end of the day, I just want to create art that feels good to me, but also it's for the fans, obviously too. And that's what I consider my role as an entertainer is to make people have a good time, or like I'm a heel, so I like to piss people off a lot too, but I still get it. I want to get a reaction out of people, and we all go to shows, and like as a patron of the arts too, when I go to a show, I want to escape my life for a couple hours and be entertained and have that free flow of creativity that goes both ways. But yeah, I'm just here to give people a good time, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, like JJ and I, especially me, I'm a big fan of the heel shit. Like I love it. It just is like one of my favorite things. Like if I'm watching Star Wars, I'm more of a Sith guy. Like I don't know if you're a big Star Wars nerd like I am, but I'm just saying, like, we prefer the bad guys because it's 100% an escape from normal life society. Like because you can't be a bad guy like that. I mean, you can, but then people really don't like you.
Sometimes
but,
there's legal consequences, but
yeah, like you can't just hit somebody with a chair and it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. No bigs.
So, so with you being, with the performing, like, what are some of the wrestlers that may have inspired your style? Like maybe how you do cut promos or your in-ring style. Like we're somebody like I've always been taught like you don't steal anything from anybody. You borrow things from everybody else and you make it your own. So like in that construct, I assume hopefully you have some of the influences out there of wrestlers that have got you into your promos, into your work.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. There's always inspiration to be had anywhere, to be honest with you, for my character and my promos, I usually look outside of wrestling. So I would actually consider my biggest influences for my gimmick to be Baby Firefly from the Devil's Rejects. So obviously I'm largely inspired by horror. So Baby Firefly is one that I go to all the time. And the Manson family, which I was always like into serial killers and stuff growing up, because it's fascinating, like psychologically. And the Manson family has been for this gimmick always just something that I go back to again and again. I always think about like the Manson girls when they're going into court and they're facing murder charges and they're like skipping and dancing, and like how disturbing that was, that there's like singing just like hippies, and they just like brutally murdered some people. So that contrast is a big influence for me.
I totally can see that. Hi, I'm back. Sorry, I apologize terribly there, but no. And those of you watching don't know, because I'm edited this, it made it look all pretty, but I'm sorry I had to step away. So anyway, I totally can get that, especially from like, the way with all the white and the, and the flower headdress and everything. You do know, you just completely made Jamie become even more of a bigger fan of you just by those last two sentences. I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, I'm a big horror movie guy. Like I go to an event here in Kansas City called Crypticon Kansas City that happens here.
I mean, it's been a few years.
It didn't happen this year. But yeah, like they have actors and they have all sorts of stuff. And like I met Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead. Got to meet him, and I got a puzzle box. It's signed by him. Like it's my prized possession. Like I love that thing. But yeah, like I'm glad you brought up the Devil's Rejects, because that's literally my favorite Rob Zombie film, hands down.
Oh yeah,
like top to bottom.
Yeah,
it kicked ass on all levels.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on House of a Thousand Corpses? Let me ask you that, because I know that there's people who love and hate it all in the same. So it's like it seems like they're divided into thousand, right?
People do have mixed feelings about it. Yeah, even people that are like really into horror don't always like that one, but I always loved it. I love gore, and I thought there were like some really gory, awesome scenes in that movie. So I could, like obviously Devil's Rejects is far superior, but I can definitely get down with House with a Thousand Corpses.
Okay. The practical effects alone in that was just what made me excited, because it was an homage to 70s and 80s horror, which is what I grew up with.
And I personally, not being the horror fan that Jamie is, it's like I don't mind some horror, but not nearly as much. I'm a zombie guy. I'll do anything zombies, but all the other stuff I'm like, whatever. My favorite of all time is the original Texas Chainsaw, because I love the
it's a classic.
I love the suspense of it.
You
went and people say, House of a Thousand is basically a retread of that. And it's not a totally wrong statement. Like you said, it's an homage kind of.
Yeah.
I liked it because of that. I love Devil's Rejects too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that one's a better movie in my opinion, but just wondered, because there is that sharp divide in the horror community, at least from what Jamie tells me.
Oh, there's genres within the genre. Like if anybody tries to tell you that there isn't, like it's a thing. Like
I get it. I've tried to educate Jamie on metal many times over, and it's like it gets deep. So yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. The nuances.
So let's just dive right into horror movies, because I'm enjoying this. What are your favorite horror movies? Like, what are your go-tos?
Yeah, I always say Dead Alive, because again, I love gore, and it's old Peter Jackson movie, pre-Lord of the Rings, and he has an interesting sense of humor too. So it's very campy. So anytime you can get like super gory, like tons of blood and camp, I'm all about it. Yeah, the Army of Darkness trilogy is also one of my favorites too. You know, the second one, obviously, I think was probably the best. Also super campy, and you know, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell is God.
Never go wrong. He is God.
Just saying.
King of the B movies, man. He's amazing. Yeah.
I've met him, and it was awesome.
Yeah. I'm such a big fan.
Yeah, I marked that.
Such a big
I marked
fan.
that pretty hard.
Hell yeah.
Any others, or your any other go-tos?
Those are definitely always top of my list. Devil's Rejects, of course, obviously. Yeah, recently, Midsummer, you know, because when we did the whole purity angle with the Righteous in Ring of Honor pre-shutdown, that was kind of like a launching off point for us, which is like a weird, like different kind of horror movie, you know, because it's all like beautiful countryside, you know, broad daylight. So it's like unsettling in that way. But yeah, that's like that one recently I definitely like used as an influence.
Okay.
Could tell with the at Death by Dishonor, the Death Before Dishonor, the head.
Yep, the flower crown is definitely from that.
Totally got that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, do you mainly stay in the horror genre? Is that your thing? And is there other sorts of, you know, movies, TVs, other sorts of media arts that, you know, you fangirl over, or like you're big, you know,
yeah, I mean, I'll watch like anything that's good and compelling. I mean, like Breaking Bad is like one of my favorite series.
So good.
What else have I watched recently that's not horror? Anything by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, I'm always a huge fan of. I mean, of course, you get like a lot of the violence there too, but yeah.
It's a different type of violence.
Different type of violence, yeah. Yeah, those are two of my favorite directors. I'll pretty much watch anything by those guys. Like, yeah, anything that like Brad Pitt or Leonardo is in, like, yeah.
So then you're a Seven fan, then, I assume.
Yes, I remember being disturbed and amused by that as a kid. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is good.
You're amazing. Like, yep, you're my favorite wrestler now. Just pin it now.
If only you did a Lion Tamer, you know, Jamie would be at every one of your shows, even though it's half a country away. So,
yes. So let's go into Quentin Tarantino, because I just want to see if like this is just like you're checking all the boxes. What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino film?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I mean, Pulp Fiction is just like iconic and classic, you know. Reservoir Dogs is a great one too. Yeah, I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood recently, and that was different, I thought, for him. It was very long. I definitely had to take a break when I was watching it. But yeah, again, Brad Pitt and Leonardo are like incredible. So yeah, I think probably overall, I would have to say Pulp Fiction.
So I mean,
that's
Reservoir Dogs is my one.
Reservoir Dogs,
really?
Okay,
it really is. Yeah, and Uma Thurman.
Yeah, she's so great in that movie.
She is so great.
We're gonna win.
Very good. Besides movies, you know, it's like, you know, I do see behind you a giant Aussie book, or something. Right? So I mean, mention. So are you big into music as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. That's what I like.
You have a band, don't you?
Not currently. I have sung for several metal bands in the past. It's hard with bookings. It was getting a little tricky with bookings to coordinate that. But yeah, I'm open to something now if the right opportunity came along. But yeah, music's always been a big part of my life.
Okay, very good. I find it, and as a metal fan myself, I'm big into metal and punk and all that stuff, right? I do love how many wrestlers are in metal bands or have recently been in metal bands. Thinking of Butcher, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what are some of your favorites out there? I mean, do you have are you like? Once again, same with horror. There's levels, right? There's different
there is levels, yes.
stuff. But what are some of your favorites that you have out there? Old, new,
So,
whatever.
Black Sabbath would be my favorite band of all time.
Okay.
I love Maiden, Priest. I listen to a lot of death metal, so I love Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, like classic old school death metal. Carcass is another one that I listen to a lot. I would say but I grew up being a punk kid in North Jersey too. Like the Misfits lived around the corner for me, so that's like ingrained in me.
As it should be.
If you're from Jersey, and especially North Jersey, like growing up with like skate and snowboard culture and the Misfits, that's like literally like in my DNA. But I would say overall, like what I listen to the most probably be death metal, thrash, and doom. I listen to a lot of doom metal too.
Do you do a lot of Swedish or?
Yeah, definitely. At the Gates is coming around soon. I love Arch Enemy. Yeah, there's tons of. Oh my god, there's so many good bands from Sweden.
See, I don't know. Yeah. I like. I personally, I like a range, but when it comes to getting into the real black or death stuff, I like staying more in Sweden. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it just hits better. I feel like, I don't know. It's just,
it's a sound.
It is. Yeah, it is. And this is my one critique I'll put out there. And you let me know if I'm being wildly too nose in the air about this. But I feel like a lot of Western, if you would, a lot of American and Canadian death metal tends to be very single tone. It's like they sound very similarly continuously. There's no variance in it whatsoever. Whereas the Swedish and the European stuff, I feel, has a little bit more, range to it.
What you're saying, I think it depends on the band, really, because there are definitely death metal bands that are kind of like monotone, and I think when you listen to any record and it's all like, mid-tempo or like full-on like brutal assault and there's no like peaks and valleys to it, I think any record gets like kind of monotonous.
Some of that, sure.
Yeah, but I disagree. Okay. I think there's a lot of, death metal originated in Florida, of course. Well, all places and all. I think all the band and like some of those bands, like Obituary and Cannibal Corpse, still tour regularly. I mean, they've been like making brutal fucking music for 30 years now at this point, and like are still insane. Like they're still like so freaking good. Like John Tardy is an amazing frontman still. Like he sounds great. His hair is like, I don't even know how he does it. Like his hair is amazing. Corpse Grinder, also like incredible frontman, and like all those bands like really take you on a journey if you listen. They have records that are better than others. Well,
I think I would put Cannibal Corpse in one of those categories where it's almost you pull it out of just being classified because it's just Cannibal Corpse.
Exactly,
it's like one of those.
Exactly.
They're just
I mean like their last few records. Like honestly, I really can't think of any bad ones. Everything, honestly. Like the early stuff is classic with Chris Barnes, but then, honestly, all the records are good. They're all
awesome. Good. Do you get into any of the newer stuff? Any like the post hardcore? Any like the or some people say the boy bands with backbeats or whatever it was. Do you get?
Yeah, I don't mess with any of that too much.
I've gotten a little bit into it. There's some unique. I found some. I like some of like the more unique newer stuff. There's a couple newer bands I really like. Veil of Maya's one that I went and saw live. They're an awesome. They're a pretty good band. But I kind of like the more like if I'm gonna say metal, I want to say like like heart pounding. I want to have like that this classic yell scream. But
Yeah.
there's some unique ones that I get into. Like Dance Gavin Dance is one. It's just a very odd band. They're technically metal, but they have a screamer and a falsetto guy, and it's just like it's really out there. It's weird.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. There's some bands that like the riffs are super brutal, and I can like really get into it, and then like if I hear emo vocals, I can't. I'm done. Like
I hear. Well, I went through an emo stage back in college, so I'll plead the fifth.
I never did. I always hated it.
No Taking Back Sunday for Vita. Okay, good to know.
No.
No My Chemical Romance. None of that. I'm out.
No, I just can't.
Don't blame you.
That's okay.
I like
That's
brutality in my vocalists.
Yeah. So as you said, Jamie's the horror guy, I'm the metal guy. But Jamie likes the old metal,
I like old metal. Like when you say Cannibal Corpse, like, hey, I know them. Like he talks about this stuff.
Metal,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about when he's bringing up like Veil of Maya and all these others. I'm like, who? Like I got kids now, man. I'm retired from the thrash metal. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more wrestling real quick, and then we'll get into more towards the end of our stuff. But what's next for Vita? Like I know you're at Death Before Dishonor. Like what's on the horizon? Are we gonna see you on a TV screen hopefully in the near future again?
Yeah, hopefully, man. I don't have any plans with that right now. I just have like tons of indie bookings on the calendar right now. So yeah, this weekend I'm wrestling Evie De La Rosa at Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And then on Sunday is Beyond American Rana, which I'm super stoked about. I'm tagging with The Righteous, and we're wrestling Willow and Waves and Krolls. And that's one of the biggest indie shows of the year. And it'll be live streamed on Indie Wrestling. So I'm definitely stoked about that. Next weekend I have LVAC. That's in Bethlehem, PA. And that's one of my favorite places to go to, actually. It's a very, like, artsy punk rock crowd.
Oh, nice.
And it's just a blast. Like, there's, like, tons of, like, lucha characters and stuff that come out for that. It's basically, like, all my friends that I've, like, trained with since I started training. And it's just a really good time. So if you're in the Bethlehem, PA area, it's at the Steel Stacks. That one's definitely going to be a super good time.
Sounds awesome. And because I know you're East Coast, Philadelphia, where you're billed from. I'm not going to ask where you live, but billed from Philadelphia, and everything. So you primarily do the Northeast, right? Like, do you get to venture out much further than that? Like, are you going to Chicago for All Out weekend or?
Yeah, I should be down in Florida for Women's Wrestling Army. It's the New Marie Kanellis promotion.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
They've been running like every 2 months. Yeah, a lot of stuff on the East Coast. I get over to the Midwest occasionally, but from like Providence down to Maryland, there's just like so many promotions. So I'm pretty much always on like a shitty road trip that I'm driving like a bunch of hours. But this weekend will be good though, because I'm going from Connecticut to Mass, so I can kind of skip a little bit of driving in between. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much in the Northeast, like promotion wise. There's so many companies, so much.
Well, it's the hotbed of wrestling in all reality. Like everybody tries to say, "Oh, West Coast this." Like, no.
No, the West Coast doesn't have nearly. You would think the West Coast would have more wrestling than it does, considering how big it is. But like honestly, it pales in comparison to the East Coast.
I mean, shit, Texas has more wrestling than the West Coast.
It's true. I know Texas has a lot actually. Texas is a pretty big hotbed right now as well.
Yeah, but like we've talked about this. We've kind of waxed poetically about the East Coast crowds and everything like that. They will let you know in a second if they like you or not. Like, and they are hot. I've never seen a crowd on the East Coast that's never been hot. Like on TV, anything, always hot.
I wouldn't go that far, but
you might have not seen it, Jamie, but
yeah, I know. I got a smaller sample size, you know.
Yeah. So sometimes it's a little like pulling teeth. It depends how hot it is or how late it is, how many hours and hours of wrestling they've seen already that day.
Yeah.
But
how many Yinglings they have in their system, you know.
yeah, usually, I love drinking crowds. The drinking crowds are the best, actually, because everybody's there just to have a good time. Yeah, I love when shows have drinking. I'm all about it.
Bar wrestling is my favorite. Our local, I don't know if you're familiar with, but our local promotion here is Journey Pro Kansas City, and now they have their own place, but they kind of move around. We do some different stuff. They're doing an outdoor show this coming Friday evening, I should say. This is going to be released on the this interview is released on, you're listening, it's the 23rd right now. Hello. But this Friday they're doing an outdoor show at this like park that's a concert place, like right in the middle of this industrial downtown area. It's really cool. But they used to, pre-pandemic, they were in this like event space that was literally just basically a giant bar. And then the rest. And it was so much fun. Like, we'd bring friends who aren't wrestling fans, right? And we just get there and just load them up with shots. Like, here, just do like 30 screwballs. Let's go. And then by the end of the night, they're wrestling fans, or they were that
exactly.
night, so.
Yeah. It was always the best time. The bar vibe was always like, I feel like I've always had more fun at those shows than any other, because the crowd just, like, to your point, they're just there to have a good time. They're chanting. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right. Somebody might hit the fan of death. It's okay.
Battle shows, because the Kaiju shows are always at a bar too, and like those shows are super silly, like ridiculous. So you have, it's like Godzilla in a wrestling ring, basically. But you have like all these like crazy characters, and everyone's wasted. Usually they're in a brewery or something, but those shows are a blast too.
It's the best. It's the best, most definitely. So no current plans then, to basically, staying a lot in the Northeast, going down to Florida, like you said, for Rico, maybe some other stuff there. Potentially. Now, I know you had said a while ago that, you're wanting to get on Impact Wrestling. You've got the ROH. We don't know what's going on with ROH, let's be honest. Jamie and I speculate that there'll be like a weekly TV show, all old NXT, one day whenever Tony finally finalizes his damn HBO deal for ROH. But you guys will still be involved with that, I'm assuming, though, right? As of right now,
I don't know.
I say that because Vincent be tweeting out a lot of pictures recently of the Righteous and with the big ROH behind it. So I'm just like, that's good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Tony Khan knows what Tony Khan wants to do there, or maybe he's waiting for like a certain TV deal, a certain time slot, or something. I don't know. But I mean, we're definitely looking to stay together. I mean, I love doing stuff with the Righteous, and everyone knows that's Vincent's real faction.
I didn't like the whole Vincent inside of the Impact Honor No More. Like, everybody else was fine. But then Vincent, we're like, he just was feuding with Matt Taven a minute ago. And now...
And I still hate that guy. Maybe they made up, but I still hate that guy. I'll ruin his day forever.
I can't stand the saying your name over and over again gimmick. I cannot stand it. I'm sorry. So...
he's the worst dude. Yeah.
We get it. No.
Done.
All right. Ready for some impossible games?
I say you got a game? All right.
I got a game.
Set you up here. So, Vita, and for those of you who may be listening for the first time here, whenever we have a guest on Total Spotfest, we like to do some games, and we like to play a couple things with our guests. We like to call them impossible games, and you'll find out why very soon. So, Jamie, do you have an impossible game ready to go?
I do. I really do.
Let's do it.
And here we go. We are going to play a good old game of Stranded Island.
Desert Island.
So you're on this desert island, and you have a TV screen, right? And It shows one movie on loop the entire year. It just goes. No matter what, that movie is always on. And then once a year, you can put one other movie on and watch it for the entire day or whatever. Like one time through, sorry. What is the movie that's going to be on loop? And what's your once a year movie that you'd want to watch? And then there's no other movies, no nothing.
Every other movie is gone.
That's terrible. I don't like that at all. I mean, you don't want it to be something good because then you're going to hate it.
That's what we call it, an impossible game.
You know what I thought of immediately when you said that was A Clockwork Orange.
Oh.
It would just be disturbed. I mean, why not? If you're going to put any movie on loop, yeah, why, you know, just be like completely disturbed the entire time.
Okay.
And then, what would be my little break for a night? Maybe Kill Bill.
The first one, right?
Yeah, I love the second one too, but yeah, the first one is
I mean that whole fight scene at the very end where she kills
amazing
88 people.
Amazing.
So good. So good.
So
very good choice. Well, that's why we call them impossible games. We've played this before. We've done variants as well. So on the movie one, just gonna let you know, give a little insight into our heads. So my all day every day was Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I have a Star Wars tattoo. I'm a small nerd, so.
Oh yeah.
And that is the best Star Wars movie. And if you don't agree with it, you can fight Jamie and myself about that. But and then I had, because I am a big nerd. I had my once a year was The Matrix. It's probably my favorite all time movie. You know,
that's a good one. Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time. That's a good one.
I love it. The first one, of course.
Yeah,
of course. Fine, but what were yours? Oh no, I remember yours.
What were they?
You had chocolate.
Oh, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's my favorite movie of all time. It just doesn't fit me whatsoever. That's why I wanted it.
The original.
Yes, the original only. The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm out. And then my once a year was Hellraiser, right? It had to be Hellraiser.
It must have been. It was something horror. I don't remember if it was.
Because that's my favorite scary movie of all time.
Had to be.
Hellraiser, the original. When he's called the Hell Priest and not Pinhead. Just
yes.
That in the world. All right. I got one more.
This is a
fun game we like to call Feud, Faction, or Fire. Since you know what faction is, don't really need to explain that to you. But this is basically the same thing as FMK, Kiss, Marry, Kill, whatever you want to call it. So you either going to feud with somebody, like you're just going to fight with them, you're going to faction with them, you're going to become team, or then they're going to be fired. Thanos from the universe, they've never existed ever. Ever. Okay?
All right.
Here are your three choices. Baby Firefly, Ash, and the entire Manson family.
Wow.
I have to choose a Feud, Faction, or
Fire. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I love all of those, so I feel like I would be in cahoots with all of them. So
I know, but that's why it's impossible. You gotta make a choice.
Baby Firefly, I mean, definitely Faction. Definitely. We would like party out on the town and like slaughter a bunch of men together. Ash, Faction. He's amazing.
Well, you already factioned with Baby Firefly.
You already factioned with Baby.
I can't repeat, huh? All right, then. Yeah, I could have a fun feud with him, I think. Yeah, we could do that.
I think feuding would be the best with Ash, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be epic.
Yeah.
Especially with you and Baby together.
With Ash. Yeah, sure. And then I guess I gotta fire the Manson family, and then I'll just take the void that they fill or that they leave. So
there you go.
Yep.
You got Baby. I mean, it's basically you guys could replicate
so
times
we're
1,000.
We're covered.
Yeah. So that is why we call them impossible games. So yeah, we that's why Jamie does take notes as we go along here. If you haven't noticed, so that's the point. But anyway,
I listen to what you say.
We got some really good ones. We've done like music variants too, because to me that's the harder one personally.
Yeah.
Like do the Desert Island game, but with music. It's like, oh crap, like it's like one.
It is hard. Yep.
It's really hard, So to each his own. But okay, well we. Thank you for giving us your time. We do appreciate you.
My pleasure.
I want to give you some time, though, because we like to give this to you. This is you entering Plug City, so please feel free. Plug away whatever you want. Your information, your socials, what you got coming up, anything at all you want to plug, please go to town.
Yep. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, it's VonStarr. And on Instagram, I'm Vita VonStarr. It's VITAVONSTARR. Those are the best places to find out what I'm doing. And I have a new t-shirt out. If you want to hit up my new t-shirt, you can DM me and I'll send it out to you. Yeah, that's about it. I already mentioned those shows that I'm doing. Definitely check out CCW, Capital Championship Wrestling. The network title there, and they're killing the game as far as independent women's wrestling right now, and definitely one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. And if you're watching, links for everything down below. Those of you listening, please go follow Vita, and I guess especially following on Instagram and especially Twitter. I mean, best way to get updates for upcoming shows, right?
Definitely.
Most definitely. So, okay, well, thank you. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We do appreciate you guys giving us some of your time today, too. We'll be back every Thursday with our regularly scheduled episode. But if you see a card with Vita VonStarr on it, go to that damn show, okay? Go to the show. Give her a follow. And that's all I got. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down with Total Spotfest, I got one word for you.
Oh, damn it.
Groovy.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.